I'm on the Chesterfield Canal, and right behind us here is a valley, and across here is going to have to be a massive aqueduct. It's a £1 million structure. So we're walking away now from the current part of the restoration of the Chesterfield Canal. Across there is going to be a big bridge, which is part of the trail which comes through here. It's old railway tracks, which are now cycleways. HS2 was going to come through here, but that no longer is because they've cancelled the northern sections. And we're going on to the second part of the Staveley town deal, which we discussed in that last video. And the first thing you're going to be able to see beside me here is the canal. So the canal does still exist. It's very overgrown. It's very, I mean, there's dragonflies and stuff in there, but you haven't got much else in there. It's too choked up to be useful. So when this is eventually dug out, which should hopefully be in the next year or so, this will become a much better wildlife corridor than what it currently is. And then you've got some narrows here. I believe that's what this is anyway. You can see the wall there. Don't know where I can stand here. If you never see me again, I died. But yeah, so that's an old wall there. Narrow this section of canal down as it runs up through into the puddlebanks. So this is the next stage in 9 miles of canal restoration for the Trust, which from what I've heard they want to get done this decade, which is incredible, let's be honest. Whether they'll do that, I have no idea, but we do hope they will, because it's going to give me a lot of content to bring you over the next few years. So from my waterway route maps, there's a slight change in the running of the canal here. It's moving across ever so slightly. I believe that's probably just landowner issues. But this is then going up into the bank that runs all the way around here. Now this is basically just a big clay bank with the canal in the top. And it's a way of running this canal more as a contour canal rather than locks. It meant you could get over this valley without, you know, having to drop down, come back up through and climb back up. Embankments on canals are a bit of an issue. It's not like a railway embankment. You're carrying not just the weight of the boats on it, you're carrying the weight of the water. So they've got to be quite chunky to be able to hold it. There's a really good one on the Grand Union, which goes up to the Iron Trunk Aqueduct, which I've covered before. And that embankment is impressive just because the weight of that thing must be, especially with the fact that it's a wide canal. Now, I'm not sure what side the canal was on here, so I'm making this up as I go along. But this, to me, looks to be the side, and I would probably say that's right actually, because you look at it, it's reeded, you can see damp soil where it's in the clay, and there's a bit of a drop off here as well. So I would say the towpath is on the left and the canal is on the right. So the puddlebank, we know, basically we know it was built out of a whole load of sort of interlocking clay blocks. We don't know a huge amount more. It's one of the early clay embankments that was built on the canal network, and I think people know more about what was built sort of 20 years later. But this was the late 1770s, and we don't really know. So actually, one of the most interesting things for us about the Puddlebank project is going to be getting in there, because we will have to remove some of the old sections of Puddlebank in order to get to do the engineering, because a lot of it's subsided, so we're gonna have to rebuild a lot of it up. One of the most interesting things is going to be getting in there when we do that to understand and try and see whether we can work out how it was built, because I say we really don't know, and it's quite fascinating because it's a big structure in those days. So far 12 miles of this canal have been restored, and when you consider there's 9 miles left, it shows that they know what they're doing. That started in 1988, I think the first section was done, and has taken the canal into Chesterfield with other projects that way for like a town basin and stuff, and brought it all the way up here, as well as I think some bits done on the other end of the canal as well. Although it's taken them, what's that, 36 years to get where they are, it's got into that point where it's snowballed. So where the project started at first, they would have been slow, hard to get members, hard to get funding and all that lot. The Canal Trust now have the experience and the power, and they've got some really good people in charge now who are running the trust. The former chairman, who unfortunately passed away, did loads for the canal, and his legacy is continuing along this route now. And with that experience, things can be done a lot quicker. So if the tunnel can be done and the locks can be done that go around Killamarsh, I think it's called, where the canal was built on, there's a very real possibility that this could be done in the time period they're looking at, which would be incredible. The tunnel is the one for me that's going to hold things up. I don't know where they are in that at the moment. So we're at that sharp right corner now, and this is where the canal is currently funded too. So we've come quite far from where we were before. You can still see where the canal's going to go. They're going to need a lot of clay to redo this.
So if you stand on the end of the puddle bank where it meets the river, there's some of it still remains. But because of all the subsidence, if you stand there now, your head is probably just about grazing the underside of the bed, so you're just about getting your head wet. So we've got quite a lot of rebuilding to do.
And the trust were donated a lot of clay by Sowen, I think Limited they're called. They're a local company, and I think they donated us all that's needed to do this. So that's a massive part of the money gone that they needed to spend, which means they can get a lot further along this route with what they have. Here we go, you can kind of see the canal in here now. So this is then the next project to go on. There's a project further on rewatering Renishaw, which is a section which was previously restored but is kind of not in water. It's drained itself out, so I think they're getting that ready, and then they just got to connect these sections up together. But we're coming across the valley now. This is the River Valley, and this comes towards what will be the aqueduct. So it's going to be 37 metres long and stand 10 metres above this valley, so you can see what sort of bank we're on now. It's quite a high bank. It's going to cost about £91,000 for the actual design stage, which Chesterfield Borough Council are paying. They still need to raise sort of £1 million or more to actually build it. So please do keep an eye out. I'll share posts when they start fundraising for this. They've just done a lot of fundraising for a lock and gates and stuff further down, which will be on my previous video. I'm sure this will be the next bit done. The Staveley town deal and the canal restoration as part of it, they think will bring sort of 20% more tourists into the area, which is always good. You see a big hole in the embankment here. I expect that was dug out for the farmer to get through years ago, and that's part of the problem. When these canals were abandoned and handed back, they were just bulldozed through where they needed to be, really. I know we're close because these pylons are right across it. I've seen there's Wobbly Runner who does videos down here which are very good. Well worth a sub if you see him. The problem they've got here is when they come to do this, because of the overhead power lines and the lack of roads, they can't really use any cranes to lift the bridge in place, and it's going to be a big steel trunk going across, and it would be over here. It's going to be supported by 2 buttresses, which are going to have to be pretty big and dug quite far down. I think about 40-50 foot deep. They need to be into the ground to support the weight of it. So when this was originally in place and the canal closed, the Environment Agency had issues with flooding. There were literally just 2 culverts, so 2 little tunnels running underneath to take the water running through, and it created serious flood issues further down the river. When the canal closed, they just dug this all out, and this new aqueduct will just be one big giant span. It'll be really fantastic to see and should draw people to the area actually, and that will alleviate all those issues because there won't be just a culvert through like before. It will be a proper sort of high up aqueduct. And just on the other side here, we're gonna have a walk up to where there was a junction and end the video there. It's just a nice place to end it, to be honest with you, because when I do some more further down, we can get to the junction and I'll walk down the branch and see what's still there. There is up here somewhere a milepost, I know there is. We've seen it on some other videos. So it's right here somewhere. It's actually really overgrown. I don't think you can see anything. You've got Norbridge Arm would have come off here and gone through the trees on the other side of the canal here. So there's a plan for a bridge here to join on to that section. There's a bit of an opening over there, so I think it might be here actually. I think that's it down there. This then carries on up towards Renishaw, Killamarsh, and then comes around, goes under, I think there's a motorway there, through a tunnel that's going to have to be rebuilt, and then off to join the rest of the line. So there's quite a lot to cover on this canal. Not a huge amount of miles, but a huge amount of structure to get through. There's a whole bunch of locks that are going to have to be built, tunnels and everything. So join up if you can. The link will be in the description. But thanks for watching. Have a great day.